For those of you that are new to Women in Film San Francisco Bay Area, we are a volunteer nonprofit organization that actively provides networking, educational, and social opportunities for over 10,000 people in film, television, and digital media in San Francisco and in the Bay Area and beyond. This afternoon, I have the honor of introducing the extraordinary Philip Shane. He's an award-winning filmmaker. He's also my friend. And with over 3 decades of experience in the industry, he's known for innovative storytelling and production techniques. Shane's notable work includes being ELMO, which earned a special jury prize at the 2011 Sundance Film Festival, and The Sabbath Queen, which is set to premiere at this year's 2020 Tribeca Film Festival. Then he also has other films like Einstein, further showcase his expertise in both documentary and narrative filmmaking. And beyond his filmmaking, Shane is deeply involved in exploring inner sections of technology and storytelling. And he even has a podcast called What the If. And I now have the pleasure of introducing my friend, an amazing human, Mr. Philip Shane. We're so happy to have you here today.
Thank you. Thank you. What I'm going to do is show you there's so much going on in AI these days, as I'm sure you're well aware. There's far more than we could fit in even in many hours of sessions. But I wanted to give everyone sort of just a quick look at maybe the highlights, kind of what seem to be the very best, the best of the best, and the things that would be sort of maybe the most interesting to us as filmmakers. This is about 14 or 15 of sort of the most interesting AI websites that are out there now, of many thousands that exist. Basically, I think the easiest way to get a handle on all the different artificial intelligence websites that are out there now is to just think of them in terms of the medium that they work in. So there are some that allow you to generate art, still images. We'll look at those later. There are some that allow you to generate video animations. They're kind of crude, but they get better all the time. We'll take a look at that. There are some that help you with search. There are others that help you with improving audio quality. And then, of course, there's kind of the ones that kick-started it all, in a way, the large language models, the text-based artificial intelligence websites like ChatGPT. And so I'm going to let's start by taking a look at our old friend, ChatGPT. It is, practically endless, the different things you could do. Let me just show you a few examples of some of the things I've done with it that sort of, again, scratch the surface. But so let's start ChatGPT, the granddaddy of them all. As you know, probably there are paid versions and unpaid, free versions of ChatGPT. As far as I'm concerned, the paid version is the only one that's really worth using. The free version of ChatGPT gives you what's called GPT 3.5. It's like an insane leap in terms of quality. So ChatGPT 4 is really the thing to use if you can. Another nice thing about ChatGPT is it includes the ability to also make images within ChatGPT. You don't have to go to a separate program. And it can go to the internet, which not all of them can. I'll show you real quick. One thing that I do is, so I have a podcast, as Julie mentioned, and one thing I need to do whenever I have a podcast, and this could apply to if you have a film, let's say you have a film that's got a screening coming up, and you want to put out the word on Twitter, and I will call it Twitter because I like that better than the new name. And you can do things like upload. So I would like ChatGPT to write some tweets for me, right? Promoting my show. And so one way to do that is to upload a transcript of the entire show. So you can, as you know, there's very easy to get a transcript of anything these days. And you just take a text document and I upload it. And you can see here, I asked ChatGPT, I said, I'm uploading here the transcript of a new show of our podcast. And then I said, don't stop until you've completed all the instructions below, just because sometimes it has a tendency to do that. And then I simply asked it, based solely on the material you see in the middle of the transcript, which is where the important material was, write 7 tweets about the episode, don't use quotes or hashtags, and end every tweet with, quote, listen now at whattheif.com, which is the website. Number 2, based solely on material you see in the middle of the transcript, also write 1 Instagram post about the podcast episode and do the same thing. And then instantly, it gives me all these tweets. And I got to say, they're really good. In the early days of ChatGPT, it wasn't as good on the first try. This does a pretty good job. And the thing, what I can tell you is something you wouldn't know because I actually know the content of the show. I can say that these are directly related to the content of the show. And it also has the extraordinary ability to really grasp what the show was. So what I did was on this particular episode of the podcast, I used AI. It's a whole another story, which I could tell you about another time. But I basically used AI to allow me to pretend like I was interviewing the computer on the Star Trek, on the Enterprise, the ship of the Star Trek. And so here's the first tweet. Today's episode delves into the contrasting styles of ChatGPT and the Star Trek computer, showcasing the balance of humor and efficiency when faced with high stakes decisions. Listen now. Actually, the first time I'm realizing now, actually, the first time it did it, I didn't like the answers. Okay. So then, and this is an important thing, when you work with AI and you work with ChatGPT and any AI, you have to go back and forth with it. And that's one, I would call that one, human survival. In other words, we'll always need to be there to correct the AI, at least for a little while longer. Good thing. But the other thing is that if you depend on the AI to simply give you something, like sometimes people will ask the AI to write an email for them, let's say, and it writes something that they don't like. Then they say it doesn't work. But the truth is, go ahead and ask it again. So it gave me some tweets that I didn't love. I then said, okay, write the 7 tweets and the 1 Instagram post again, focusing instead on the novelty of me having the Star Trek computer as a guest on my podcast. And that's when it did the tweets that I liked. So it came back and it said, okay, ever wondered what it would be like to have the Star Trek computer as a podcast guest? That's what I did. We brought this iconic AI to life in today's episode. And then all the rest of the tweets are nice. So that's just a little example of that. Some other things you can do. Again, imagine you're promoting your film or a podcast or any other production you've got going along. I used to do this one by one. I would finish the show, and then I had a lot of things I needed to do. I needed to write a description of the shows to show up on a podcast app, right? This is what this episode is about. Again, this could be similar to if you were working on a film, short documentary, long documentary, and you needed a synopsis, same deal. So I needed to have it do that. I needed to have it write tweets and an Instagram post like we saw. I needed it to create cover art, right? Again, it could be a poster for your film. And I would do those one at a time until eventually I realized I had figured out the best way to ask it to create the things I liked. And I just combined all those prompts, right? A prompt is what we call the sort of question you give or the direction you give, what you enter in the text box to say to ChatGPT is called a prompt. And I realized I could combine all of those requests into one document. And that's why you may remember in the previous document, it said, please do all of the things I ask you to do below and don't stop until you finish them. That actually comes from this one where I actually have a lot more things that I'm asking it to do. So let's just take a look at this. Again, as we saw before, I'm uploading here a transcript of a new episode of our podcast and also a transcript, a second transcript of some bonus content I recorded as a separate piece. Do not stop until you have completed all the instructions below. And then I want to point out that when you get into asking ChatGPT to do a lot of stuff, it actually helps to organize your prompt, the message you're typing in to the AI. Organize it really carefully, just like you would if you were giving it to a person, frankly. You know, if I was going to ask an assistant of mine to do something, I could just write a whole bunch. Well, do this and 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 do this, and then also make sure you do that, and then don't forget to do that. That would be okay, but it's sort of going to be a lot more helpful to them and ultimately to me in the end if I can say, okay, here's what I need you to do. Number one, do this. Number two, do that. Number three, do that. So I begin by saying episode description as opposed to the bonus content, which is a separate thing. Episode description. This is ChatGPT. This is what I want you to do related to the episode description. Read the entire show transcript from start to finish. Note that the pertinent material is in the middle. And then based on the material you see in the middle of the transcript, write a fun description of the episode. Okay. And then I tell it who the audience is. Okay. So because this is a science podcast, write a fun description of the episode to entice scientists and lay people who enjoy learning about science to listen to it. Okay, so if you tell ChatGPT the audience that you're having it create something for, it helps tremendously. So again, think of your film and say, okay, this is the audience I imagine for my film. It doesn't have to be insanely specific. You can just try it and see how that goes. One thing sometimes I find that it does things I don't like over and over again. It would sometimes describe the style of the show. It would say, it's a hilarious show. So I'm just telling it, don't do that. So again, you can tell ChatGPT what you don't want it to do as well. Okay. And I'm not going to go into follow every single one of these. Basically, I'm really giving it very detailed instructions as to what I would like it to do. The biggest thing, if you took away only one thing from today about working with a large language model, it's that don't get hung up on what you say. I've met a lot of people who say, I can't work with it. I don't know prompt engineering, they'll say, because they've heard this term, or I'm afraid to use it, or, oh, I wish I just knew the exact right thing to say. Really, just sit. The amazing thing about them is we no longer need to know arcane things like computer programming or coding, as you now call it. It's certainly, if you do, great, you can do some amazing things, of course, but it really has become much more accessible to us. So just ask it what you want and work with it like an assistant, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Okay. And don't accept what it gives you. Continue to work with it. I think all of us are probably, perfectionists. That's how we get into this business anyway. But you can really work with it. I work with it for a long time. I often, when I'm in a writing phase, for instance, I might work with ChatGPT the entire workday for many, many days on end. So we'll do that. If you upload it as an attachment by clicking the little paper clip that's at the bottom there, you can give it much more text than you would if you tried to paste it into the box. I'm just going to stop here for 1 second on this site called Perplexity. All I want to say about Perplexity, perplexity.ai, is Google meets large language model. So it's many of the large language models, like including ChatGPT, can search the internet. That's what Perplexity is really designed to do, search the internet. But Perplexity does one thing that's pretty spectacular. So let me, Julie, what's something you want me to search on the internet?
Okay. What are the top 10 best film festivals in the United States?
Okay. Now watch what happens. Okay. So what are the top 10 film festivals in the United States? And I'm going to click the enter button. It immediately shows me the sources that it's pulling from. So you know that one of the downsides of many of the language models is that they make up stuff, they so-called hallucinations, also known as just mistakes or bald-faced lies. So you can't really trust a lot of times what if I ask ChatGPT, what are the top 10 best film festivals in the United States, it's going to give me a list. And it will give me some sources. It'll give me 1 or 2 or 3 sources. Perplexity is designed to just give you a ton right off it searches like a ton of websites all at once. So we see here, it's given me 3 sites and it shows view 5 more. So it's USA Today, The Culture Trip, I'm not sure what that is, Studio Binder, let's view 5 more. So Film Freeway, that's a good site, so I can sort of see where the information is coming from, which I find very helpful. And then here's my information. It then gives you, and Google does this too in a way, but it kind of gives me some nice follow-up questions at the bottom, and it allows me to keep going. So I'm just going to say that Perplexity AI, I would recommend. It's free. I don't even think you have to sign up to use it. You can just go. You might get some bonus things if you do sign up for it, but I would explore it. Just see what you think. It's a new site. All right, now here's a fun one. Let's get into some more multimedia stuff. This is one of the most bare bones websites I've ever seen since like 1992 on the web. And amazingly, for such a bare bones website, it comes from Adobe, our friends at Adobe. And what it's meant to do, it says enhanced speech. What it does is you can upload audio that sounds like crap and get back audio that sounds pretty amazing. Let's just take an example here. So we're hearing the raw. Let's hear some of the raw sound, okay?
Are competitive. There's no doubt about it. You know, China's on the moon, China's on Mars, and it's kind of they will continue to advance. So
she's insanely off mic, right? Or very, very far off mic. This is an unfortunately common situation that crops up. We don't want it to happen, but in shooting documentaries in the field, this kind of stuff happens all the time. I thought I was connected to the soundboard, let's say. It turned out, no, you're not. You're only filming from the camera mic. This is what you wound up with. Well, up till now, in recent years, we can do noise cancellation. Everyone's familiar with that with your headphones, and you may have tried it in the mixing studio. So noise cancellation would...
And their technical capability.
Noise cancellation would remove the hum that's around her, okay? But her voice would still be very quiet. And the more I turned up the noise cancellation to try to make it sound cleaner, the more her voice is going to get distorted because I'm essentially removing frequencies from her voice. And I'll be left with a kind of not great. Let's listen now. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to slowly turn up the AI filtering, and we're going to hear how her voice improves. So you see this dial at the bottom here. I'm going to start at 0. I'm just going to slowly bring it up.
I think space is one of those rare environments that, is my personal opinion, space is one of those rare environments where it's a lot easier to collaborate because we all share that space. We're not, we don't have territories. We don't have specific boundaries that are marking on territories. And so is it everyone's best interest to play by a certain set of rules when it comes to me in a space environment? But from a technical perspective, Alicia might have a little bit more.
Yeah, but what I would comment, I think what you're alluding to is the innovation part of it. With competition, it allows the companies to find a...
It got quite a bit better, and then it got a little bit worse, got a little bit distorted. So the sweet spot seemed to be right around here. Let's hear.
So we're getting out there. It is becoming a lot more competitive. There's no doubt about it. You know, China's on the moon, China's on Mars, and it's kind of...
This is awesome.
They will continue to advance in their technical capability. I think space is one of those rare environments that...
So it's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah. What it does is the crude explanation is basically that, as I said, noise canceling would take out all the noise, which would also, unfortunately, remove a lot of the frequencies of the person. So the person would sound cleaner, but very quiet and a little bit hollow, right? A little bit like a telephone sound. What AI is able to do is actually refill in all those frequencies that we're missing. It looks at the little jagged, sound wave that remains after noise canceling, and then it says, "Oh, I know what you need," and it gives it all back. So when it really works really well, they sound as if they were recorded in a sound studio, in a booth, So it's pretty amazing. Does not work all the time, and it's nice that they give you this dial. You can also, I would say, once you do this, download it, bring it into your own edit program, whether it's Premiere or Avid or whatever your Final Cut, whatever you're using. I think, you'll want to keep the original sound there, and you want to have this improved sound next to it and sort of find a sweet spot in between them. Okay. So podcast.adobe.com. It'll be on your cheat sheet at the end. All right. Images. Now adding color to our life. You've heard of probably Midjourney. It is, people often ask me, what's the best image generation website that's out there? And by far, there's not even any question. It's Midjourney for quality of aesthetics. Okay. It doesn't do everything perfectly, but I will say just for the quality of the things, the quality of the art that it generates, it's astounding. Let me just show you some examples of some things I've done. There's some, I don't know if she's in your, I don't think she's in your group, but there's a filmmaker actually I was talking to, I think she was in San Francisco and she was working on a film anyway. And she was asking, oh, she was thinking it'd be nice to make a poster for her film. And it involved, I don't know, it was like kids, you know, in a bus going cross country. Could we do anything with that? And so we typed in, all we did was type in toy bus on a paper map of the USA. And we got these rather lovely images, which really look insanely like toys, you know, like real, it looks like a physical image. That's kind of nice. Let me just show you some others. I really am interested in, because I do so many interview-based documentaries. Those are kind of the ones I love the most. With interview-based documentaries, you know, you've got, what are your images going to be beyond the talking heads? Well, you've got archival footage, you've got photographs, and then you've got B-roll, let's say, and then you've got this big blank spot, which you often still need to fill in with something else. And, you know, that could be reenactments or any of the incredible wide range of things that fall loosely under the category of reenactments or illustrations, let's call it. So I was curious, could I create some images that I felt might be appropriate to be for documentaries? I wanted things that were not just, there's no shortage of kitschy material. Like the vast majority of this stuff, you know, is made by kids or people using their child's side, which I think is awesome. But, you know, it's just kind of sci-fi. It's kind of whatever. It's colorful, but it's not emotional, really. So I was wondering if I could come up with something that really I thought might really be able to tug at the heartstrings in a very, very dignified way. So this was pretty cool. I kind of came upon this, I don't know, I just started out imagining a family scene. And again, I don't know what these images mean exactly. It wasn't literally for a story that I was creating illustrations for, or, you know, reconstructed illustrations for. But I just sort of imagined a family in a rec room at night, and there was a serious discussion that needed to happen among the family members. Go this way. Here we go. Let's see. So again, this is pretty cool. I mean, these are not, obviously they're not actors, but it's kind of like, you know, if you've done your own photo shoot, you'll see, if I zoom in real close, you're going to see, you know, some AI mistakes and things like that. But nonetheless, I just thought, I was kind of like, wow, these seem really pretty powerful, you know, things. So again, it's just kind of unusual. I don't know that you've seen a lot of people doing this kind of stuff with it. And I think we will shortly. Some other examples, let me just see. Here's another one. So a friend of mine is making a film, and she had a scene where the main character was a woman who went on a drive and was dealing with a lot of a hard time in her life. And I think we had perhaps a photograph of the main character and just wanted to play with it. So this is not a literal, this is not the photograph. We're not changing the photograph. It's totally new things, an imagined image using the photograph as a source, which is kind of an amazing thing you can do. So in other words, imagine you had an actual photograph of a woman, you know, driving a car like this. You can literally just upload it to Midjourney. I would just hit the plus button here, upload it, and then I would tell it to, you know, show me an image of a woman driving in a car with her hair blowing in the wind. It will take that source photograph and start to give you iterations on it. So pretty cool. And that tees up something else I want to try. What if you wanted to make her hair move, right? Just fun looking at different glasses you get. So video. There's a video generation website called Runway ML. I think the ML stands for machine learning. And you can upload an image to Runway ML and get it to animate it. So there's no reason why you couldn't create something in Midjourney, let's say, like that image we were just looking at, and upload that to Runway and, you know, just say the same thing, a woman driving a car, her hair blowing in the wind, and you get some, okay, so that's one. See if we get others. Here's a better one. So not perfect. You would want to do a lot of work on it, but can you see that? Is it showing up? Yeah, it's pretty wild. What you can get simply by putting in a still image. That's kind of nice, actually. Let's see some other. Remember the bus driving across the map? Let's see what we got it to do here. Okay, this is interesting. It didn't actually it didn't put the bus in motion, but it did do something that's actually pretty cool in and of itself, which is it gave it a handheld kind of feeling, which adds to the kind of feeling of it being a real toy. That's pretty cool. Here's one driving a little bit. And doing nothing. Okay, so this is a great example. Sometimes it does absolutely nothing. And this is pretty much what it's like to work with AI. I think in general, you never know what you're going to get. Anytime you are seeing something amazing, if you are seeing something amazing that somebody's demonstrating to you, I can guarantee that just like any great art, that is the successful version of 100 unsuccessful versions, right? 100 different things and tweaks. But if you have patience and working in film and any of the arts requires a lot of patience, the AI stuff, I don't want you to think these are quick fixes and all these kind of things. Nonetheless, the ability to just sit here at your desk and type something you imagined in your head and have it appear is pretty, obviously that's kind of groundbreaking. I like cats and I can never resist getting some images of cats. So this is a cat riding Amtrak. The cat looks a little bit like a husky dog, so kind of fun. But you could totally imagine that being a shot you use in a documentary, kind of a fun. And I think we're already starting to see this stuff being used. All right, the video is kind of crude. Every month or so they release new versions and it does get better. Many of you probably have seen this thing called Sora, which was demonstrated by OpenAI, the company that makes ChatGPT, among other fine products. And this is super high-end, pretty gorgeous video. They are much longer. So Runway and all the sites that are similar to Runway that exist now, as you see, you get 4-second clips. Sometimes you can get 8-second clips. If you're lucky, you'll get a 10-second clip on some of these websites. But they're pretty short and they're a little bit choppy. And they're obviously, there's a crudeness to them. Sora is like just super smooth. At the moment, it's not available to the public. They're simply teasing us with it. And I have a feeling that when it comes out, it's actually going to be very, very high end and very expensive. I could be wrong about that, but they're talking to Hollywood people right now about it. So it wouldn't surprise me if it just takes the place that, like we have different levels of video cameras, right? You got the Arri Alexa up in the $80,000 range. I think Sora is going to be up there at that top end. Nonetheless, if you hadn't seen it, I'll just give you some quick examples here. Here's a woman walking in Tokyo. And even these are a little bit choppy because we're sort of watching it over the internet and you're seeing it over Zoom. So if you go to just Google Sora demos or something and you go look at them by yourself for free at high quality in HD, pretty amazing. Here's another one. This one I can totally imagine appearing in some sort of National Geographic thing. It's these imaginary woolly mammoths. Again, just remember that this was done by just someone typing in this prompt: several giant woolly mammoths approach, treading through a snowy meadow. Their long woolly fur lightly blows in the wind as they walk. Da, 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 da. You typed it, you can see it. It's kind of mind-boggling. So I'll show you one more. This is quite interesting, just the quality of the person. Actually, here's my favorite. This one I find incredible. I don't think you would ever know. Again, it's a little bit choppy as we look at it now, but when you just imagine this being fully smooth, if you watch it yourself online, you would not know that this wasn't a drone shot of some imaginary lighthouse on the bay there.
And is there sound to these?
There is not.
Yeah.
There are some sites that are experimenting with that. So far, pretty bad. So early days on creating syncs the sound that goes with it, but they're working on it. Yeah, good question. Okay. One last thing I want to show you before we open up for questions.
Okay.
All right, wonderful. There is a site called InVideo, ai.invideo.io. Again, it'll be on your cheat sheet. This thing is kind of insane because basically, again, this is what I'm doing today is a little bit like a cooking show. Everything is pre-prepared just to get through it a little bit faster than real time. So what you can do though on this website is you just begin with this blank line, okay? Just like ChatGPT, you got a blank line, you have no images at the beginning, right? I can type in here, when I did this, the eclipse had just happened. I can say, make me a 2-minute documentary, informational video about solar eclipses, okay? It will then, in a couple of minutes, render a fully done video. So it will write a script in text using ChatGPT 4, I think. So it'll write the text. It will then have a synthesized voice, a pretty high quality synthesized voice, read that script as the narrator. So it will essentially record the voiceover, we could say. It will compose a music score and add music to it. And it will then grab stock footage and put that on top, edited on top, and give you a fully edited video just like you asked for. It will be bad. I can guarantee that. It's pretty bad, but you can continue to tweak it. So, as an editor, I don't yet feel like this is taking my job away. Nonetheless, that's an interesting topic unto itself. But let's take a look at what it did. So this is what it did.
Nature has its way of showcasing its grandeur, and one such spectacle is the solar eclipse. An event as rare as it is beautiful, kind of like seeing a unicorn riding a rainbow. This cosmic ballet unfolds infrequently, yet when it does, it never fails to captivate. It's a celestial crescendo, where the moon plays hide and seek with the sun. And let's be honest, the sun is not very good at this game. A sight so mesmerizing, it has the power to unite people across the globe in awe, fascination, and the collective squinting of eyes. On April 8th, 2024, the world witnessed an extraordinary phenomenon, a total solar eclipse. This celestial dance, where the moon basically photobombed the sun in broad daylight, was visible across a broad swath of the planet, casting a shadow of awe and wonder. In Ohio and Arkansas.
Okay, and it goes on and on. I will end by just showing you what you can do then. Essentially, you can literally act like a director, sitting with an editor and an animator and a composer all at your beck and call, as we say. And I would say, for instance, I'm just going to say, change the music to classical music, change the narrator to female, and make the tone more serious. Okay. And then I just hit generate, and that's going to take a second. So you see right now, it says switching to classical music. It updated tracks, changing narrator to female voice.
And all the images are fair
So-
use, right? Or
No. So the way it works is they are all, you can see logos on there for like Shutterstock and stuff like that. When you have to have a subscription to use this, or at least to download a finished version. And when you do, just like when you use any stock music website, you license it, at a certain level, right? Oh, here we go. Sorry. We changed the voice. We're setting a more, now when I said setting a more serious tone, it's generated script. It's rewriting the whole script. Okay. And so I'll show you when we go what it does. Basically, when you go to checkout, you purchase the, see, it says you get a license for the stock media used at export. So it's, you have to have a plan of some kind, a subscription plan.
And with Midjourney, is the footage, and Runway is the footage that you're getting fair use or public domain with that?
So it is, first of all, let me just play this and then let's just see how this turned out.
Celestial themed states its magnificence through various phenomena, and the solar eclipse is a prime example of such spectacle. This event, both rare and breathtaking, unfolds infrequently but captivates all who witness it. During a solar eclipse, the moon obscures the sun in a celestial interplay, capturing the attention of observers worldwide with its awe-inspiring view. On April 8th, 2024, the world observed an extraordinary astronomical event.
It's not bad as a YouTube video or something. It's okay. Now, you hit edit. When you hit the edit button, now you can go in, you can change the script yourself. You can go into any of the shots and change them manually to something else. You can change the timing of it. So you can get in there and really start to work with it. And I haven't had the time to do it yet, but I'm really curious to sit here, and I know that, if you put some time in, you can make something pretty cool. So as I say with AI, if it doesn't look that great to you now, remember that this is the worst it's ever going to be, right? So keep improving. So yeah, so that's kind of just a glimpse at the crazy world that is unfolding in our computers.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yes. Wow. Philip, that was amazing. Thank you.
Oh, right.
So,
Great.
Kate Schemmerhorn, would you like to ask your question about Instagram posts?
I know. I was just, I don't think that ChatGPT generates images, but I just wanted to double check. Oh, it does. Okay.
It absolutely does. In fact, let me show you real quick. In fact, it's an excellent alternative. So Midjourney is not easy to use, I will say. In fact, it's probably one of the hardest. It's getting better, but it's just sort of weird, a little bit complicated. When you're in ChatGPT, if you're in ChatGPT 4, if you're on the paid plan, then at the top on the left, you'll see a bunch of different options, and one of them is called DALL-E. DALL-E used to be a separate thing. It's now just incorporated in ChatGPT, and that's their image generation program. So what's an image you'd like to see?
I don't know, somebody skateboarding on the Eiffel Tower.
Excellent. Yeah. What I want to show you is the real difference in style. It's a very different style. However, here's what I can say is it doesn't have the beautiful artistic style that Midjourney has, nor the range of, Midjourney can do an astounding array of styles. I mean, Midjourney can make anything if you take the time. The stuff for DALL-E, it tends to be a little bit more cartoony, so, okay, so someone's skateboarding. So you can see it feels a little bit Pixar-like, and so DALL-E's images tend to have that sort of Pixar feel or a comic book feel or something like that. However, it does a really good job of following what you asked for. Midjourney, perhaps because it can do so many things, it doesn't often interpret your words as literally as you want sometimes, whereas DALL-E does a pretty great job at that. So.
Well, my original question related to images in ChatGPT was, when you're telling it to generate an Instagram post, like how does that look? Is that images?
It's the same thing. Yeah, it's actually, sorry, when I was asking it to generate to do an Instagram post, I was talking about text. So I was asking it to write the caption for an Instagram post. Although I do also have it create the cover art for the show. So I just say create cover art. I wasn't specifying Instagram or anything like that. So yeah, nothing particularly different.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sure. I think it was mostly answered, but I was looking just for a little more on rights, and especially in sort of AI-created images.
Yeah. So here's where we stand. It is insanely in flux. The large AI companies, Microsoft, Google, OpenAI, maybe some of the others, Anthropic, have said that they will defend you if somebody comes after you, So imagine if, somebody said, hey, that music sounds like my music. I'm suing you. OpenAI will take on the legal case and you'll be spared. Is that really going to happen? We don't know. I mean, that's where we're at. But basically anything is, for all intents and purposes, like Julie asked, is it fair use what is a public domain, what AI creates. If an AI generated image does belong to you on pretty much all the websites. So anything you make with Midjourney, it's yours.
As a follow-up to that, Shane, this is Amy. Do you know where people might be able to follow the legalities regarding the use of AI in film?
So Pat has, I've been on many panels with Pat over the years, in fact. She has, she and the center she runs is like one of the main places to go for fair use information, no matter what, like going back 20 years. They publish what do they call it? Best practices, guidelines, and all kinds of stuff, like super helpful. And so she's been keeping up with this as well. So I would say, you know, sign up for their mailing list and go ahead and even just email her if you have questions.
I just wanted to say these tools are really helpful. You know, if you obviously, like, when you use them, people know that you're using AI. But then, you know, like Netflix released this true crime documentary that actually used AI and kind of fooled people into thinking that there was this photograph that was real. So I just want to talk about, like, are there, you know, ethical guidelines around how AI is used in documentaries, because we obviously trust the filmmaker of a documentary and kind of trust what's in there as like being presented is real. And so it can get complicated when anything from like true crime to nature documentaries to whatever, like, that we know that those images are real or AI.
Yeah, I don't think it's anything new, honestly. You know, this has existed ever since, you know, anytime you're making a documentary, you could film B-roll, that looks like your film, right? And there have been filmmakers that push the limits of that. In general, the people who violate these things, or the violations that crop up, are like 1 out of 100,000 or something, right? It's like, because it's so rare. My guess is, I don't know for sure, but I'm going to guess that what happened with that Netflix thing was that they were like, they knew it was not real, and they thought everyone else could tell it wasn't real. You know, I don't know if they were trying to push the limits.
Yeah, they didn't, and there was a picture with the woman's photo. Her hand was messed up, so someone pointed out that it was AI, and then they came out and said, "Yes, we created this AI photograph." There's
nothing wrong using AI any more than using Photoshop, or simply, you know, using archival footage to look like it was newsreel. You know, you can, anyway, there are filmmakers like James Marsh made Man on Wire, which is an amazing film. And he's very well known for sort of incorporating stylized footage, let's call it, you know, reenactment, made up, illustration, stuff like that. I do that all the time. All of us do that, you know, I think. And I think that we all tend to do it in a way where it's obvious, there's no mistaking that that's the thing. Like, we set up very early in the film, the first time you introduce those elements, you introduce it in a way that indicates this is what we're doing now. This is the grammar for when we're doing something that we as filmmakers are showing you because we had nothing else we could show you, right? So I think just always be careful of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Sorry. But it's obvious when it is stylized, but there may be people who use it for, you know, trying to hide stuff like this, like what happened there. So I just think, you know, people should still be aware that it can be used to sometimes kind of, you know, rewrite history.
It's going to be, it's already happening. And this is where, yeah, I mean, just another sidestep out of documentary, but just sort of in news and social media, you know, we're in the next week, you're going to see more and more and more manufactured images, to the point where we're just going to learn, as we always do, I think, we just learn to be critical. We learn how to figure it out, you know. And to their credit, Adobe and OpenAI and Google and Microsoft and others are working on also trying to come up with ways to encode information in the images that make it clear that it's AI. So, but yeah, definitely stay frosty, as they say. Hello, Deb.
Deb, I'll go ahead and ask, because sometimes people cannot turn on their microphone. Deb asks, do you recommend a site that's best for AI animation?
Do you mean different from Runway, or what, a different kind of animation? Or
yeah, I mean more like hand-drawn style or
right. So all you have to do in in all of the art, one thing that I couldn't demonstrate is that in Midjourney, in Runway, and in all their variants, all their friends and fellows, you can create in any style you want. Cubist, pencil and paper. I mean, you can come up with really and I'll give you, here's a quick pro tip for everybody. If you don't want to just go to any of those websites, you'll see you'll see samples shown to you. Here's a gallery of stuff that people have made. If you see anything you like, click on it, and usually it'll show you what they typed in there to get that thing. And that's a good start for you to try to get that too. So,
Thank you.
yeah. It's great for storyboards, by the way, for instance. Yeah.
Hi. Yeah, I have a quick question. Because I remember, but I'm not 100% sure about another workshop that I heard about ChatGPT. So my understanding is that when you download a document, that belongs then to ChatGPT, so you can use it. That's the question. Anything that you download as an attachment, but because that was the beginning of your presentation, right? You mentioned
download or upload
as an attachment. When you add,
but do you mean I give it to ChatGPT or I get it from ChatGPT?
No. Give it to ChatGPT. When you were mentioning that is an additional convenience, let's put it like
right. Yeah.
That instead of copy paste,
yes,
you have the button on that you can add it as an attachment, the document. Right. So my question is, I'm pretty sure that once that you download something as an attachment, then ChatGPT can use it.
You can ask ChatGPT that question.
Well,
yeah, but it won't give. By the way, any question you ask ChatGPT, you don't trust the answer. I would go to Google for that or find a real document. But in terms of use it, it's up in the air. It's in the sense that anything you use with Google Docs could be used by Google in some way. So it's not overtly being, they're not taking your document or anything like that. So, but if you're really concerned, the thing to do is if there is a more secure version you can use, and you have to have a Teams account. So if you get a Teams account, which starts out at twice, in other words, the pro account is $20 a month. Okay. The truth is, I'm not sure I would believe any of it. I mean, if you're really, really concerned, for instance, by the way, I don't upload documents for, I'm working on 1 or 2 documentaries right now where I'm developing them about kind of famous people, and I have, special access to them, and I've done interviews with them, which are private and personal. I don't upload those to ChatGPT.
Right. It's because, I remember that workshop I was mentioning, it was done by experts. It was not just, it was, and so yeah, I'm pretty sure they said 100% they can use anything. And mainly I wanted to let people know because not many people is aware of that. So
but the question is what use. When you say use, I just want it to be really clear, because I can imagine someone thinking use mean my document is going to somehow be available to other people or whatever. There isn't. Now by the way, you may be confusing with, there's a whole nother mode, which I haven't gotten into at all, where you can create things, you can create little apps called mini GPTs or custom GPTs, where you put something in there and you're offering that app to other people. Then for sure, and this may be what they were talking about, the document that you've included there absolutely is literally available to other people. I mean, that's the whole reason you put it in there, but you should know that you did that,
Hi, Philip.
Hi.
Thank you so much for this information. Oh, it's so valuable. This is I come out of higher ed and in a film program teaching screenwriting. And so I just started having conversations with a lot of colleagues about the change that's going to have to happen in higher ed, because right now we are people who learned one way, and we're trying to incorporate a tool into our little kit that we use and try to do it that way. Yeah. I'm just wondering, because it's going to happen fast with a university and students coming out. Do you see AI filmmaking being the name of the program now, or in terms of universities and how they're teaching? Do you see it still as a tool just like any other filmmaking tool, or is it just a different look at how to make a film and documentary?
I would just call it, it's more like a meta tool in a way, just because it encompasses many tools. But I think it's still just filmmaking, right? I mean, it's the storytelling is what it's all about, and all the other stuff is just the illustration of the story. I love that you teach. I also teach screenwriting and writing for documentaries as well, and I'm very steeped in story structure and all that kind of stuff. And I love using ChatGPT. And by the way, I'll just throw out there one thing I love to do, which is crazy, is I can say to it, I'd like you to play the role of Robert McKee, right? Or I'd like for you to play the role of Christopher Vogler, or a world-renowned expert in the hero's journey, or both. Or I'll then even say, let's say I'm working on my log line or synopsis or whatever, something, treatment. I literally will say, okay, I'm now would like you to create a writer's room with this filmmaker and this filmmaker and this filmmaker and this filmmaker and this filmmaker. And I want you to pass the idea from one person to the next, and it'll say, oh, okay, so Martin Scorsese picks up your treatment and he says, well, there should be more of this and more of that, and he hands it to Steven Spielberg, and there's just crazy stuff you can do, which is insanely fun, creative, and smart. I will say that Robert McKee I would support possibly a legal case he could bring against ChatGPT and the others, because they know the book story backwards and forwards. So his own book is being used in it, So anyway, but you were asking, will it be called, I don't think it would be called AI filmmaking, only in the way that for a little while, maybe we called it digital filmmaking or something like that. But
that's fine. Thanks. It's just it's evolving in terms of the discussions and how a program approaches filmmaking. Is it the same with this extra tool? It's all that's just going to continue on.
The things that Aristotle laid down are still the most important,
I totally agree.
Things of that type.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, it comes down to not being so afraid of this. I do know I was asked to be on a board of a college recently, and I listened into all the different companies, all the different people that are on the board, and they were doing their programming, and every single person was discussing AI and how they're implementing it, including the school, and what classes they're now going to be teaching and what degrees they're actually going to be giving in AI. So, and this was a filmmaking class. So at the end of the day, it's like you learn this, and like you do any tool, and you grow, and you don't become a dinosaur, which we all are really good at having to evolve within this industry. When I started, it was film, and then we went to HD, and we keep evolving, or we die. Those are our choices, and so we can scream about it. But I also think it's really important, some of the points like Mercedes is bringing up, and some of the other points that some of the other panels brought up, just on safety. And as Philip said, know what you're willing to share in this world and what you're not, so that just come in thinking it could happen. So, but at the end of the day, this is like an amazing tool. So happy we got to get some knowledge today on this. It's pretty remarkable.
So three quick things. One, pro tip, again, just to remind you, or to specify a little bit more clearly, when you're using the large language models, ask it to play a particular role of the kind of help you'd like to get. That's always super fun. And tell it who is the audience for the thing it's writing. It might be just you, which is fine. But, if you give it basically what the role you'd like it to assume, and then tell it who it's making something for, you're going to be a lot closer to getting what you want out of it. And then just don't stop. Just keep going with it till you get what you want, and do have fun with it. Secondly, I think of these things as, like we have word processors. And I think of the AI as basically not just the language models, but in all of these things, the image makers and image generators and all that stuff too. instead of word processors, these are like idea processors. We give them ideas, and then they shape those ideas into other things. That is not something we've ever had before. That is an amazing thing to kind of play with. Just like though, when we're living through something that is akin to when the personal computer first arrived in our offices and our homes. A lot of people hated them. A lot of people were afraid of them. They were very expensive and they were very crude. We are seeing all of that now, but they're going to change our world in just the way the computer itself changed our world. This is going to be another thing. And so lastly, I just say that this arrival of AI is not just equivalent to when digital technology first arrived, and we see how much that changed the world. But I really think it's like when electricity arrived. No one could have foreseen that in just a very short period of time, when electricity arrived, that suddenly there were airplanes, there were electric trains, there was rockets to the moon. I mean, God knows what. So I think the things we're going to see are going to be really incredible. And the more things are easier to use at the beginning when they're simpler. So this is a good time to get involved with it. And I also do believe that there may very well be a lot of shakeups in the employment. We don't know. I think a lot of new jobs are going to be created as well. But nonetheless, if you're the one who knows how to use it, if you're the one that knows how to communicate with the AI, if you're the one who can sit down, like you can sit down at a piano and play it very poorly. If you could sit down at a piano and play something beautiful, so if you can sit down at ChatGPT and suddenly get it to give you things that are amazing that other people are not, you're going to be the one that stays, at the head of the pack. So I think that's always good.
Wow, it's a great afternoon to have you here, and I think we all at Women in Film really thank you, and we can't thank you enough, because your knowledge, your insight, and we really appreciate you just demystifying and helping us to advance, and because it's really important. And there's this tidal wave of information regarding AI that's pretty scary at first, but the more I've gotten into it and the more I've used these, I always want to call them like platforms or these artificial intelligence. We extend our gratitude to all of our board members and our volunteers and all of our community partners for helping us. And again, that was Video Industry Network event, Women in Film, California Film Institute, New York Women in Film, Women in Film Video New England, and even Philip, I saw you were posting about this, and all of our board was posting. And so thank you, everyone. And Philip, just again, heartfelt thank you for your generosity, your knowledge, and your kindness.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.